And God saw that it was good, that each of the two begat from one was born of each other, to disappear into the one, to reappear as the other. Thus the one light of God's knowing extended to the two of his thinking, pulsed as the three of all creating things, the one centering the two extended from the one, the Spirit, the Father-Mother polarity of light, the Trinity, centering the shaft of creation's seeming fulcrum of its heartbeat, all one. The manner of the extension of God's knowing to his thinking was in this wise. The Father of the kingdom extended his arms of still light unto his heaven, and said to one, Sit thou here, and look thou inward, be thou seed of my knowing, for repeating my thinking. Refold thou the forms of my imagining within thy stillness, and give them back to me for resurrection in the imaged forms of my imagining. Father thou my thinking, and let thy name be North, for north in light means inward breathing from the heavens toward oneness in the seed. Guide thou the enfolding forms of my imagining from seed of thee to centering seed of me. And to the other light the centering Spirit said, Sit thou here, and look thou outward, be thou womb of my knowing, for borning my thinking. Unfold thou my seed from the stillness of seed, and give earth forms of them to heavens to manifest me. Mother thou my thinking, and let thy name be South, for south in light means outward breathing from the seed into their heavens. Interweave thou thy threads of light of earths and suns with threads of light from heaven into patterns of my thinking extended from my knowing to manifest my knowing. To north and south the Father said, Behold in thee and me the firmament of my desiring, to mirror the light of my knowing into Father-Mother forms of my imagining. And earths appeared below, and heavens above the firmament, each being each mirrored from the other to become the other. And God saw that it was good. All things were thus divided, as two halves of one, which never could be one, but must forever born the other from each other, to manifest the knowing of the one as the two opposed desires of his thinking. And all knowing was in the light, and God sowed seed sons of all knowing, light into far reaches of his firmament, for borning into pattern images of his imagining. And the earth brought forth grass and herb, yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielded fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And it was that God had whispered to man for long ages while man was new, but man heard not God's whisperings. And God said, Let us give man knowing, and make him in our image after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. And lo, man knew God in him, and emerged from the dark of his jungle into dawn of the light in him, and turned his eyes upward toward the mount of his ascension, from sensing to knowing, and man desired his ascension to the light. And God saw that it was good, and dwelt within man, to give him the light of all knowing, as awakening man desired the light of all knowing. These are words from God. Great art is simple. My universe is great art, for it is simple. Great art is balanced. My universe is consummate art, for it is balance, simplicity. My universe is one in which many things have majestic measure, and again, another many have measure too fine for sensing. Yet I have not one law for majestic things, and another law for things which are beyond the sensing. I have but one law for my opposed pairs of creating things, and that law needs but one word to spell it out. So hear me when I say that the one word of my one law is balance. And if man needs two words to aid him in his knowing of the workings of that law, those two words are balanced interchange. If man still needs more words to aid his knowing of my one law, give to him another one, and let those three words be rhythmic, balanced interchange. And that was from the Divine Iliad. Now, next chapter, man must pay for disobedience. Man's disobedience to the law cannot affect the balance of man in his whole journey, for every unbalanced action of his must eventually be balanced. Man is on his way to his cosmic goal of oneness with his Creator, and he can in no way deviate from that fixed orbit which will eventually take him to his destination of glory in the high heavens. By disobeying the law, he is but hurting himself while on his journey, but he must make the journey and must balance every unbalanced action while on the way. It is as though a man on a great ocean liner disobeyed the laws of the ship. In spite of his disobedience, the ship has taken him to his destination, and he must go with it. Likewise, he has hurt himself by lessening the happiness of his journey. The whole principle of creation lies in equal giving. The oneness of the light is divided into equal and opposite two, and all interchange between the two must be equal in their giving. God's division of the light into a seeming two is manifested in nature by electric waves of two opposing lights springing from the still sea of God's magnetic light, just as waves of water spring from the still ocean. The outstanding characteristic of waves is that they forever interchange. Troughs become crests, crests become troughs. Gravity pressure above and below their axis is equal. So long as equality of interchange continues rhythmically, waves repeat their interchange. When the sloping sand at the beach prevents this equality of rhythmic balanced interchange, the waves accumulate unbalance until they crash on the shore. Every transaction in human relations either continues or discontinues in accord with obedience or disobedience to this one law. A man who sells and gives less value for what is given to him lays the foundation for his own wreckage. He finds it even harder to sell and loses many purchasers by gaining their ill will. He who gives equally for what is given to him multiplies his purchasers and prospers by gaining their goodwill. The pulse beat, the swinging pendulum, the inbreathing and outbreathing of living things all exemplify God's one law of rhythmic balanced interchange. Any deviation from that law in the heartbeat of a man would endanger his continuance. But when there is a rhythmic balanced interchange between the two compression and expansion opposites, man's life continues to function at maximum. Man has free right to choose his own actions, but he must balance those actions with equal and opposite reactions until he learns that God's one law must be obeyed. This God holds inviolate. The whole purpose of life is to learn how to manifest God in truth and the law. The lesson is a hard one, but man himself makes it hard by his unknowing of the law. As man gradually knows his purpose and the law by knowing God in him, life becomes more and more beautiful, and man more powerful in his manifestation of power. Man's power lies in giving. He must learn to give as nature gives. Each half of a cycle eternally gives to the other half for re-giving. Nature forever unfolds into many for the purpose of refolding into one. Each individual must manifest this universal law. The desire of some so-called apron-string parents to run their children's lives for them, often claiming that they have sacrificed their very own lives